Hi, this is the recording for Title I-C migrant monitoring, how to have a smooth, successful migrant monitoring visit. I'm Sarah Seamount. I'm the Migrant Education Program Coordinator for Idaho. Why do we monitor districts? We monitor districts to ensure that local education agencies are in compliance with federal law and regulation as required. But we also monitor districts to ensure that students receive the best services possible under the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, and to assist districts in developing their programs to better meet local student needs. Getting started. Here you will see a list of useful websites for preparing for monitoring. At the program monitoring website, you will find all of the interview questions used during an on-site or hybrid visit. The monitoring upload tool link is here as well. This is where you will be uploading all of your documents. Title I-C Migrant Monitoring Indicator for districts without migrant funding. So if your district does not have a migrant program, there is only one indicator that you need to be concerned about for the migrant program. Federal law requires that Idaho attempt to identify all migratory children. This means that the children of migrant farm workers are identified so that we can provide extra services to meet their unique needs. For more information on these needs and how we help meet them, view the Migrant Basics video on the Migrant website. In order to identify and serve migrant students in districts that do not currently have a migrant program, we use the Parent Employment Survey. Then we provide services through our regional migrant education program coordinators in partnership with the district. The responsibility of the LEA that does not have a migrant program is to have parents complete the Parent Employment Survey when they enroll a student in the district for the first time. The district pre-screens the survey to see if anyone in the family works in agriculture. If yes, the district securely transfers the survey to the regional MEP coordinator assigned to the region, so that he or she can contact the family to see if the children qualify. What documents to upload? For a hybrid or desk review, please upload samples of completed parent employment surveys for migrant students, if you have any, and non-migrant students. This shows that the surveys are being completed for all newly enrolling students. For an on-site visit, you do not need to upload anything. Reviewers will check cumulative files for 2 to 4 students at each school. It can be very helpful to pull these files in advance so that reviewers can quickly check them. Having a written procedure that details how surveys are securely transferred to the regional MEP coordinator for the LEA is the best evidence that transfers are happening. A screenshot of an uploaded file in the SFTP will also work. The file should be named district name, date. For example, Heritage Community Charter 9/12/21. This will not be possible if the district opts to mail the surveys. So now let's look at the indicators for districts that do have a migrant program. Due to the increasing number of migrant monitoring visits needed each year, we now have more than one method of monitoring districts. To be honest, my personal preference is to be able to visit each district in person. I get to know liaisons and directors in your own environment and can picture you there later as we interact by phone or email. However, we will do the best we can to continue to spend enough time during interviews to learn about your particular situation and your areas of strength and challenge. Because we now have several different ways to monitor, the way documents are uploaded will change depending on the type of visit. In an offsite visit, which are desk reviews and hybrid visits, some additional documents will need to be uploaded that are not required during a site visit. These will be marked as for offsite review only, hybrid, and desk. SDE preparation means that I have access to the documents or data needed. This is only included so that you will know that I am checking these sources of evidence and where they are coming from. It seemed silly to ask for what I already have. For an on-site visit, there are items that I will look at while I am there. This will include parent employment surveys and cumulative files, storage of current and expired COEs, and the liaison's record-keeping log. In an on-site or hybrid monitoring visit, other evidence is collected during interviews with parents, secondary students, family liaisons, migrant director, principals, and business manager. In the following slides, I will be going over the supporting documents needed. The citation for why we are monitoring for various indicators can be read in the federal programs monitoring tool for each indicator. I will not be going over those in this training video. The first section is student identification, or SID, and the indicators are 2, 3, and 11 for the migrant program. SID 2, identification and recruitment. Identification and recruitment of migrant families is a critical element of the migrant program. If we don't accurately identify students, we can't serve them. First, we have to know who they are, and then we receive the funding to allow us to serve their unique needs. For an off-site review, I will need 5 to 10 copies of the family liaison's log. I will also need a brief written procedure detailing the storage of current and expired COEs. That statement should include information about how COEs are kept. For example, are they kept alphabetically by whether or not they are current or have already expired? Are they kept by year? So whatever method you use for keeping your COEs should be explained in your statement. Where they are kept, are they, for example, in a locked filing cabinet in the liaison's office? And for how long? And for this one, the requirement, the legal minimum is 10 years, but ideally we keep COEs for much longer, ideally forever. I've had students who have returned after 20 years and asked for a COE. Fortunately, we still had it. For an on-site review, the LEA doesn't need to upload anything for this indicator. Everything else I need is available to me through CFSGA and MSIS. SID 3, timely records transfer. For an off-site visit, please provide a statement that a copy of the current COE is in the student's cumulative record. If the student has more than one COE, please leave those in the cumulative file as well. They provide important historical information. It is required in federal regulation that the migrant program provides for the timely transfer of student records and that we use M6 to do this. For students leaving your district, providing an M6 move notice to the district or state the student is moving to is required. Providing a move notice to the prior district or state for a newly arrived student in your district is a courtesy, as it helps them know that a student has moved away and keep accurate records. As you all know, it is a challenge to keep track of highly mobile students, especially out-of-school youth. An update to M6 this year will provide a report by user that will show that the liaison is completing M6 move notices for students who leave your district. At this time, this is not yet available. The liaison should provide copies of M6 email notifications showing that move notices are completed. Many family liaisons communicate this type of information by phone with other local liaisons with whom they have a relationship. This communication can be included in the liaison's log as additional evidence, but will not replace the need for move notices in M6. SID 11, parent employment surveys. If the monitoring visit is off-site, please upload a copy of 2 migrant and 2 non-migrant students for each school. For districts with more than 1 elementary, middle, or high school, you may select 1 school for each level rather than loading samples for every single school. For an on-site visit, I will check cumulative files for migrant and non-migrant students in each site. The parent employment surveys are only required for students who have enrolled in the district since the 2019-2020 school year. The next section is program needs assessment, services, and evaluation. This is where the majority of migrant indicators can be found. Program 12, comprehensive needs assessment. All migrant districts should conduct a migrant comprehensive needs assessment every 3 years. Please upload documents related to the district's most current CNA. This should include, who served on the committee, the agenda and minutes from meetings, and the documents used to analyze student needs, and a final report or list of local migrant needs identified. Documents used for analyzing student needs should include staff, parent, and secondary student surveys, and the MSIS reports available for comparing migrant and non-migrant student test scores. Program 13, coordination of services. Coordination of services between programs is an important way that federal dollars work together to provide the best and most efficient services to students. In many cases, the migrant program can contribute by bringing the parents or parent perspectives into the conversation. Family liaisons and graduation specialists work with both children and families and should be included in meetings to discuss student needs. These could include RTI, MTSS meetings, grade level meetings, or special education meetings. The list of students receiving other services is evidence that migrant services aren't supplanting for other program services that migrant students are eligible to receive. Program 14, advocacy. For an offsite review, you will upload several pages of the family liaison's logs showing that the liaison is advocating for migrant students. In addition, I will look at referred and support services provided to students in a report from MSIS. The interviews will also provide evidence that advocacy for migrant students is taking place. Program 15, measurable program outcomes, or MPOs. For all migrant districts, upload written procedures for how data is collected and stored during the year in order to accurately complete the MPO evaluation in MSIS data collection at the end of summer school. This could be a folder or binder for paper copies of parent surveys, or it could be electronic scanned copies. With either method, the procedures should state where the information can be found. In the event that someone leaves the district, more than one person should be able to access the information. In more than one case, this has not happened. Program 16, Priority for Services, or PFS. There are no required documents for the district to upload. I will be able to look at both MSIS and CFSGA to see the district's plan for identifying and serving PFS students. However, when I check the MSIS report for services, I should see that PFS students are receiving services since they have been identified as high risk. Program 17, continuation of services. The written procedures should not be a copy of the state guidance on continuation of services. It should answer the following questions. Who does it? When does it happen? How is this completed? What criteria is used? How is it ensured that students will receive services if determined to be eligible for continuation of services? And do students in category 3 get looked at again after the first year. A sample copy of a written procedure is available on request. Program 18, Professional Development. At a minimum, all migrant districts must include sign-in sheets and the presentation used to provide training to all staff on how to meet the needs of migrant children. The presentation should include basic information on student eligibility, needs, and tips for staff in various roles to support migrant students. If you are using the SDE or State Department of Education Migrant Basics video or PowerPoint, you can just state that, but you will still need sign-in sheets. Program 44, Paraprofessional Schedules and Supervision. Although the Migrant Family Liaison and Graduation Specialist are not generally instructional paraprofessionals, it is important to upload the schedules for these staff members. I will check times on the schedule against the proportion of salary paid out of migrant funds. If you have an instructional paraprofessional paid out of migrant funds for part of his or her day, please note the activities that are paid out of migrant funds. The next section is Family and Community Engagement, or FACE. Migrant has just one indicator in this section. FACE 11, Parent Advisory Council. All migrant districts should upload the following documents. These documents will show evidence that migrant parents are involved in the planning, implementation, and evaluation of the program, including a list of PAC members, notices of meetings, invitations, and correspondence in English and Spanish, sign-in or attendance sheets for PAC members, and an agenda and agendas and minutes of PAC meetings in English and Spanish with evidence of parents providing program advice and or feedback. This can be as simple as including in your agenda the type of feedback you are requesting from parents during the meeting. This section is for the qualifications of teachers and paraprofessionals. There is just one indicator for migrant. The same requirements for teachers and paraprofessionals apply to staff working for the migrant program. Paraprofessionals who are providing instructional services for the migrant program must meet the same standards as other paraprofessionals. In other words, have passed a praxis or have an associate's degree or 48 college credits. A migrant liaison or graduation specialist who is not providing any instructional services does not need to meet this requirement. The final section for the migrant program is fiscal accountability. There are several shared indicators between multiple programs. FA1 written policies. This indicator is monitored with Title 1A and no additional data or information is needed for the migrant program. FA2 budget and accounting systems. You should upload the district detailed budget report for the migrant program as well as other programs. Each federal program must have its own proper IFARM code, and each program's actual allocation must align to the CFSGA. Please be sure that the allocation, including any reallocated funds, are correctly listed in the budget. You can find this number in your CFSGA. FA3, cost principles and allowable use of funds. Please include all of the reports listed on this slide. I will look at individual expenditures, pay and benefits, and the breakdown of staff funding codes compared to staff schedules and staff pay. Sometimes with credit card purchases, it isn't clear what was purchased. Please provide a description of what was purchased in these cases. Clarifying information can also be provided during the interview with the business manager. FA4, migrant allowable use of funds. In order to ensure that migrant staff are engaged in allowable activities and are able to devote an amount of time equal to the amount of pay out of migrant funds, please upload detailed schedules and job descriptions for all migrant-funded staff. FA7 is the CPA audit. This indicator is monitored with Title 1A and no additional data is needed for the migrant program. FA8, physical inventory. The physical inventory includes items that are purchased with migrant funds, including devices for student use and liaison use for the ECOE. This is frequently a finding for districts who do not have a detailed inventory for devices that include the funding source for the device. If the inventory is a spreadsheet with a column identifying the program name, it does not need to be a separate sheet. We can easily sort by program. A sample spreadsheet is available on the federal program's website. FA10, time and effort. Include the time and effort documentation for migrant-funded and partially migrant-funded staff that you would submit for staff paid out of all other title programs. FA11, record retention. The requirement for fiscal record retention is the same for all title programs. The only additional requirement for record retention for the migrant program is for retaining COEs for at least 10 years and longer is recommended. This is addressed in SID 2 and is not a fiscal requirement. Please feel free to contact me if you have any further questions regarding monitoring for the migrant program. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to spending time with you at your monitoring visit this year. Have a great day.